everyone, you're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. The Aam Aadmi Party finds itself in the center of a corruption storm over the Delhi government's liquor excise policy. The Central Bureau of Investigation carried out raids at Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia's official residence and over 30 other locations in 7 states. It has been over 12 hours and CBI teams are still at Sisodia's residence. 15 people have been named in this FIR, with Manish Sisodia as accused number 1, along with former and serving excise officials as well as 9 liquor merchants. Manish Sisodia, who also handles the excise department, has been accused of tweaking the policy without the clearance of the Lieutenant Governor, providing undue benefits to liquor license holders. As per the charge, over 144 crore was illegally waived on the license fee, while another waiver on import levy on foreign liquor led to the loss of revenue. In fact, the CBI alleges there was a falsification of accounts as many ineligible vendors got licenses after paying bribes to bureaucrats and close associates of Manish Sisodia. The FIR states liquor barons were actively involved in the framing and implementation of the excise policy brought in November last year. The agency is alleging that close associates of Manish Sisodia were actively involved in managing and diverting the undue monetary advantage collected from liquor licensees for the accused public servants, where a liquor trader paid 1 crore to a company managed by an associate of Manish Sisodia. The Aam Aadmi Party has come out in full force to ring-fence Manish Sisodia, claiming he is being harassed for doing good work. The party says they will not be brought down by conspiracies and lies. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal stood behind his deputy, saying that he is very proud of his work in the capital, highlighting the front page of the New York Times on August 18th, which featured Mr. Sisodia. The party says that the BJP has been rattled by the Delhi governance model that is being lauded across the globe. The BJP has called the New York Times article paid publicity, claiming that the same article word to word has been featured also in Khaleej Times. But all eyes are now on the Central Bureau of Investigation, and if the next step will be the custodial interrogation of Manish Sisodia. Amidst the political war overs, the big question remains: is the crackdown valid, or is this vendetta politics? Moreover, is there any link really to the New York Times front page that has praised the Delhi government's education policy? Before I get the guess, here's how the drama unfolded today.
Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia declared that a team from the Central Bureau of Investigation had landed up at his house. The probe agency filed an FIR on the now scrapped Delhi excise policy and named Sisodia as an accused. Apart from Sisodia, the CBI also raided former Excise Commission officials in multiple locations.
It was 8:15 in the morning when it all got started, and Manish Sisodia was the one who informed us, putting a tweet out that CBI officers have basically reached his house and are basically searching the premise. If you can see the activities inside, because we have been told that CBI officers may leave in some time from now, and they are still searching for some sort of documents, some sort of evidences in concern with the excise policy, and the FIR that is registered in this particular case. In that FIR, in fact, Manish Sisodia is one of the accused.
The BJP lashed out and accused the Aam Aadmi Party of causing a huge loss to the exchequer.
जिस दिन सीबीआई को जांच दी, उसी दिन शराब नीति को वापस लिया। ये शिक्षा नहीं, ये शराब की बात हो रही है।
ये दिल्ली के शिक्षा मॉडल पे खबर छपी है।
But Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal came out in Sisodia's defense and accused the centre of sending CBI to his doorstep only because Sisodia's picture was printed on the front page of the New York Times.
पूरी दुनिया के सबसे शक्तिशाली देश के सबसे बड़े अखबार के फ्रंट पेज के ऊपर भारत के बारे में इतनी अच्छी खबर छपना, दिल्ली के बारे में इतनी अच्छी खबर छपना। इस खबर में मनीष सिसोदिया जी की फोटो छपी है। आज मनीष सिसोदिया को दुनिया का सबसे अच्छा शिक्षा मंत्री घोषित किया गया, लेकिन उसके घर सीबीआई पहुंच के रेड मारने के लिए।
But the BJP countered this by showing that the same news article was printed in the Khaleej Times.
न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स में जो ये आर्टिकल जो छपा है, जिसके आधार पर ये वर्ल्ड क्लास एजुकेशन मॉडल की बातें कर रहे हैं, ऐसा ही हूबहू आर्टिकल खलीज टाइम्स में छपा है और यहां तक कि फोटोज और वर्ड्स भी सेम हैं।
The new excise policy was introduced in November last year and saw a big jump in private players with licenses selling alcohol. But the Delhi LG Vinay Kumar Saxena recommended a CBI probe, accusing AAP of bringing the excise policy with the sole aim of benefiting private liquor barons. Then on the 30th of July, Manish Sisodia announced a rollback of the policy.
शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य के इनके मॉडल को बर्बाद करो, इनके मंत्रियों को गिरफ्तार करो, ताकि केजरीवाल मॉडल बर्बाद हो जाए, अरविंद केजरीवाल खत्म हो जाए। ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सोच है, प्रधानमंत्री जी की सोच।
The CBI alleges that private parties who were awarded licenses included many ineligible vendors who paid bribes to the Delhi government. So are the raids against Sisodia valid, or is it political vendetta?
And how right is it to link it to the New York Times article? Let me bring in my guests now. Shehzad Poonawala, national spokesperson of the BJP, is Supriya Shrinate, spokesperson of the Congress, Jasmine Shah, representing the Aam Aadmi Party, Sushmita Dev, member of parliament of the TMC, Rizwan Merchant, lawyer. Jasmine Shah, the CBI has named Mr. Manish Sisodia as accused number 1 in its FIR. The CBI says that liquor trader Sameer Mahendru paid for 5 crore to associates of Delhi Deputy Chief Minister. The FIR says there is illegal gratification and charges include criminal conspiracy and provisions of the Prevention of Corruption Act. Then why not look at this as some kind of, investigation? Why has this been linked to the New York Times article?
Maria, first of all, let me state that as Aam Aadmi Party, we are welcoming any kind of an investigation, be it by CBI or ED. Just like we have welcomed these investigations in the last 7 years, when 150 such cases and raids after raids have been ordered against all the ministers of Aam Aadmi Party, including CM Arvind Kejriwal. The reality is not a single of this case has stood the scrutiny of the court. And that is why we are saying that today CBI and ED are interested in Aam Aadmi Party because of a very clear reason. Over the last 7 years, the health and the education model of the Aam Aadmi Party is being recognized around the world. People of India today know that if there is one leader, one party that can fix the government schooling system or the healthcare system, they don't look at BJP or Congress, they look at Aam Aadmi Party. New York Times, we have not asked New York Times to write this report, but they wrote on the front page, and you look at BJP's response. If it was so inconsequential, why do you have to go and say that this is paid news, this is blah, blah, blah? Our Prime Minister Modi has written an op-ed for New York Times. So if it was so inconsequential, why did you write there? But the reality is that foreign prime ministers, UN secretary generals, even the US First Lady Melania Trump, when she came to India in 2020, she decided to go to a Delhi government school. Now, that is the reason why BJP is wanting to do this raid, only because they want to stop this juggernaut called Arvind Kejriwal. They want to put a roadblock in the health and education model, and that is why
it is your own government which withdrew the excise policy. The reason why you withdrew it, in your own cabinet note, you talk about how there were revenue losses. Why not look at this as the point of view of pure investigation? Why talk about Delhi model and then link it to your own decision? I mean, the fact that you withdrew the policy is an acceptance that the policy was flawed.
No, it wasn't. And I'll tell you why, Maria. And I'm glad you brought out this important point. And it's important also to talk about health and education, because let's understand the politics behind these rates. That answer on health and education was the answer to the politics behind this rate. Now, why did we withdraw the excise policy? The design of the policy is still today one of the most transparent and progressive policies, excise policies that the country has seen. However, when it came to implementation, and these are facts which are there on files, it's are there on paper, and it will come out in due course, BJP threatened, the CBI and the ED threatened the officials of Delhi government that we will not allow you to auction the sites of this liquor policy. As a result, today, out of the target of 850 liquor shops that were to open, only 250 shops are open in Delhi today. So if you're not going to allow the implementation of the policy, Delhi government is a duly elected government. We have brought out a policy. If you don't like our policy, please become the Delhi government. Please ask people to vote for you and come craft your policies.
Okay.
But once an elected government is implementing a policy, you're putting roadblocks in that. And to ensure that there is no prohibition, and the scenario that we have in Gujarat where hundreds of people die almost every month because there is this 10,000 crore of illicit liquor trade that is happening. We didn't want those circumstances, Maria, in Delhi.
Okay.
And therefore, only as a temporary measure, mind you, only as a temporary measure for 6 months.
I'm going to refer to the cabinet note where you have also spoken about windfall gains to license holders in just a bit. But before that, let's talk about the New York Times article, because that's what you are saying has led to these raids. Shehzad, New York Times is praising Delhi government's policy. It is a matter of huge pride for all of us as a citizen of the country. It should be a matter of pride also for the BJP, because if anything, this is the national capital. Why make it about BJP and Aam Aadmi Party?
Maria, I don't really care two hoots for New York Times or the articles that are published there. Secondly, I didn't want to waste my time on this, but let me tell you, the same article has been published in 3 so-called shady websites. One is News Next Desk, one is Pakki Khabar, and one is a website called Local Public on 16th of August. In fact, on 11th of August, Kejriwal tweeted a link of News24 India, which turned out to be a website that was linked to one of their karyakartas in Uttarakhand. And their own former friend, Mr. Rifat Javed, has tweeted that and said, this is fake news because no UK general elections are taking place. So these are the Pinocchios of Indian politics who have a fake news factory. Now, let me come to the real substantial issue, because that is what we need to discuss. And I'm privileged to have the Teen Murti of corruption on this panel. TMC, too much corruption, INC, I need commission, and AAP, or paisa. Now let me answer a few questions about them. First of all the specific questions we are asking about the liquor policy, and let me reframe those. Those questions are not being answered by these people. They'll go to education, they'll go to New York Times, they'll go to all kinds of issues. Few specific questions, Jasmine Shah, please answer. The cabinet of Delhi had withdrawn the power from Manish Sisodia to make any decisions on excise policy, yet he goes ahead and makes the following decisions. One, he gives the EMD of 30 crores to L1 to the airport zone licensee, even though the Delhi excise rules say that he should have been forfeited, that L1 should have been forfeited that EMD. 144 crores is waived off for the liquor mafia. At the same time, you're charging poor students higher fees, but in the private institutions, but you are withdrawing 144, giving 144 crore relief to these liquor mafia. 3, Mr. Sisodia on his own increases the number of vents from 2 to more than 2 vents per mohalla. That means masjid ke paas bhi ek vent hoga, mandir ke paas bhi hoga. 4, the license period is unilaterally increased from 1st April 2022 to 31st July 2022. How did you do that?
Okay. 5.
No, one second, please, let me complete. There is very important facts I want to show you. This is the show cause notices issued by his own government. 1, saying that manufacturing companies can't come into retail. 2, blacklisted company Khaugali was allowed to come into retail. What action was taken on these show cause notices dated 25/10/2021? And 5, he says vendetta. By the way, if this is vendetta, how come Mr. Satyendra Jain, who's languishing in jail for the last 2.5 months, hasn't got any relief? In fact, 3 court orders have come against him. One saying that he's a criminal background person.
Since you have asked questions to all the political parties that are on this panel, Jasmine, a quick response from you, and then I bring in Supriya and Sushmita Dev.
Maria, I was thinking earlier that across the world, the principle of natural justice is innocent till proven guilty. BJP today has made it innocent until you are raided by BJP, CBI or ED. Because that's the, against Satyendra Jain. They mentioned Satyendra Jain. Has there been any charge sheet? Has there been any conviction? No.
Yes.
But you already pronounced him guilty. That shows that you have no respect for the law and the legal system of this country. Coming to each and every of your comment that you made very targeted points. Let me remind you, Shehzad, 400 files of Delhi government was scrutinized by the Shunglu committee exactly on all these trumped up charges. There is, ye sare khokhle charges hai, let me tell you, they'll be thrown out in the courts of law. But on the other end, where you are seeing liquor, if your CBI and ED were actually interested in liquor mafia, why there is no raid happening in Gujarat? Hundreds of people are dying every day because of illicit hooch tragedy. Total 10,000 crore is the quantum of liquor trade, illicit liquor trade that happens in Gujarat every year. Your
What
people
about
are not.
Maria? Maria,
CBI
what about let's focus on specifics, Maria. Maria, let's focus on specifics, Maria.
This is what you do.
Maria,
You make issue out of
Maria.
absolutely allegations just so that the country
Maria,
cannot.
Okay,
one second.
okay. Since there are
Maria, 10
questions,
seconds.
I'm going to come back
Just
to you
10
because
seconds. Maria, I request you 10 seconds. A big
no.
lie has been said.
I'm
Maria,
going
just
to bring
10
in
seconds.
Supriya
Maria,
and
please, 10
Sushmita
seconds.
as well. Okay,
Maria, 10 seconds.
12
Just 10
seconds it is. Yeah.
Maria, he said that the principle of law is innocent until proven guilty. I agree. India against corruption used to, however, say first istifa, then investigation. First resignation, then but forget that. He said that there's no charge sheet against Satyendra Jain. I am willing to quit politics if I'm lying. ED's charge sheet has been taken cognizance of by the lower court, and the court said there's prima facie
Supriya,
evidence
I want to
against Satyendra
understand what
Jain.
exactly
The
is
High
the
Court has said
stand
that he has a criminal
of the
background.
Congress party
I'm not lying about this. Please fact
on
check it.
these raids against Manish Sisodia. Supriya Srinivas,
I first want to tell the BJP spokesperson, yes I can. I first want to tell the BJP spokesperson, it's all right to sit here and talk whataboutery. It's all right to sit here and indulge in acronyms and call us all names. People call you the Badki Jhutta party and Beche Jao party because that's what you are doing to the country. So let's not get into these silly games that class 10 students should be doing. These are serious issues that we are trying to resolve. Bring some stature to debates that you go to, firstly. Secondly, Maria, I think there are two things that I want to say, and I want to say it very emphatically. To the AAP, I will say one thing, and I say it with some amount of concern for India's opposition. When the entire opposition gets together and talks about how agencies are hounding political parties and political leaders, 17 political parties come together, sign a letter, send it to the president, the speaker, and all of that. The AAP chooses to stay away. And today you are crying foul because you say you are being hounded. तो जिस सांप को आप दूध पिला रहे थे वो एक दिन आपको डसेगा. ये मैं आपको बोलना चाहती हूँ. The second thing that I want to say to the AAP is that your politics has changed from the time you were conceived. You came out of the Anna movement, you were talking about Lokpal, you were talking about clean politics, you were talking about no cars, no fancy things. You have a Z category security. You were living, you were a chief minister with no portfolio, enjoying all the benefits. So let's not get too carried away with what the AAP wants to project. The AAP does exactly what the BJP does. They're two sides of the same coin. Indulges in PR, relies on ads. It's all about Mr. Kejriwal and nobody else. So ek bada recharge hai, chhota recharge hai. The third thing I want to say, and I will end after this. The third thing I want to say is, as a member of the opposition and as a responsible citizen of this country, what is happening right now is in India is trial and television studios by half-baked information and fake news that some punters of the BJP will come here and spread. I am not willing to stay mute spectator to that. I am also not willing to stay mute spectator to the fact that the BJP spokespersons and the Bharatiya Janata Party, including the Bharatiya Janata Party, Modi government, uses agencies to settle political petty scores through vendetta politics. You have now been in governance for 8 years. You have to answer questions on the promises that you have made. Jobs kahan hain? Price rise क्यों है? Employment क्यों नहीं create हो रहा है? क्यों China अभी भी घुसा हुआ है? You want to completely distract. The debate of the day should be, why have 11 rapists been let loose in the state of Gujarat on the same day as the PM spoke about women dignity? You know, your blatant, shameless laughter when I speak about rapists, tell me who you really are. Shame on you for laughing on national television.
I'm laughing at the fact
absolutely
that you think you're the
shameless.
editor of
Your
this
blatant,
channel,
brazen
and you
laughter.
think that you can set the parameters
one
for
moment.
what should be debated.
One moment.
This is
Shehzad,
your
Shehzad,
job.
Brazen laughter tells me who you
And
are.
by the way, one second,
At the
Maria,
mention
one
of
second,
rapists,
Maria,
you can
one
laugh
second,
like
Maria.
that.
If
Shame
this
on
has
you.
been journalist-
Shame on you.
Exactly, Maria. If this have been
This is who
journalistic,
this real man
then the
is.
Economic Times
This
for which
is
he
who
worked
this man
is an
is. When I
agency that
talk
covers
about
fake news.
rapists,
Well, it's the Economic
this
Times
is how
that
he
has said
laughs.
that
This
Satinder
is who
Jain
you
has
are.
been taking
This is
cognizance
why the
of.
BJP
Charge sheet
MLAs
against him has been
support
taken
rapists.
cognizance of.
This is
So,
why they say these
Shobha
rapists are
why don't you stick to
sanskaris
your job
and they
of
should be
defending
let
the
loose.
corrupt?
Now
Okay,
shut
let
up
me
and
bring the
listen to me.
focus back to the
Apologize
topic
to
of
this
discussion
country
today,
for laughing at
and I have to
bring
bring in Sushmita Dev as well. Sushmita, as far as the Congress is concerned, they have talked about how the Aam Aadmi Party has not been with other opposition parties when they questioned what they saw as misuse of agencies. What is the stand of the TMC? Because if one party which has been facing agencies a lot in these recent times is actually the TMC in the state of West Bengal.
You see, Maria, what stands out in all of this is that, yes, corruption is a very big issue. And like the Chief Minister of Bengal has said, there should be zero tolerance towards it. You see, when a member of the public questions us is one thing. But when you have the Bharatiya Janata Party loud mouthpieces coming on television and giving us moral lectures, I think of the Chief Minister of Assam, Hemanta Biswa Sharma, who was, as per a brochure released by the Bharatiya Janata Party, accusing him of a scam of a water treatment plant or system in Guwahati. Within 1 month joins the BJP and everything is dropped. Okay, I think of Narayan Rane, I think of Scindia ji, who was also accused in the economic offences wing. I know of Hardik Patel, Reddy brothers, Subhendu Adhikari, Pema Khandu, Flashnet Info Solutions case by Piyush Goyal, and I can go on and on. So look, if a mouthpiece of the BJP wants to, shout and scream on television screen, he should first explain that why is there no parity in the way you treat cases where there is prima facie evidence of corruption.
Okay.
So the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is like a washing machine, and the moment to decide to, join their party, all cases are dropped. That is questionable.
Yes.
That is questionable. Mamata Banerjee has said the Honorable Chief Minister of Bengal that please have a time-bound investigation and come out with the truth, whatever it is, we will face it. Within 6 days, she actually speaks her mind and Partha Chatterjee is dropped from the ministry. अरे इनके तो MLAs rape करते हैं, अमित शाह चुप रहता है. उत्तर प्रदेश में when a girl is raped, singer is sitting.
Yes, Shehzad, is this just coincidence? That in recent times, be it Maharashtra, where Anil Deshmukh, Nawab Malik, Sanjay Rawat, Anil Parab, action has been taken against all of them. Go to West Bengal, Abhishek Banerjee, Partha Chatterjee, Anubrata Mondal, Madan Mitra, action being taken against all of them. Come to Delhi, Satyendra Jain, Manish Sisodia, Amanatullah Khan, action being taken against them. Is it just coincidence that in every state, it's only the opposition leaders where action is being taken against? ED and CBI, they are being questioned by?
Maria, I'll answer this question. Here is a report. ED rates BJP leader 2.7 crores pound in Gujarat. Income tax rates somebody who's close to Yediyurappa's son. Actions have been taken galore against these people also. You don't report, it's not my fault. But having said that, the cases I am citing, all of them have court orders. ये बंगाल के पार्था के खिलाफ 8 CBI probes were ordered by the Calcutta High Court. But you today have the leader, the vagabond who has joined the TMC, come and defend Partha's activities one way or the other. Then you have the Partha of Delhi, Satyendra Jain, against whom there are 3 court orders. He lied on your channel, the most watched show at 10 p.m, saying that there's no order against Satyendra Jain. There are 3 orders. The Delhi High Court said he has a criminal background on 27 July 22nd. 28 July, the trial court said cognizance must be taken of the ED charge sheet. There's prima facie evidence against Satyendra Jain. And 2019 August, the High Court has said that Satyendra Jain was involved in Hawala Bazi. This is a court order. And against the Congress party too, they have got no relief either against the income tax reassessment order or in the entire ED proceedings or any other proceedings that are proceeding from them from the year 2012-2013 when a criminal complaint was filed. I am asking, there are court orders against these people, but true to their nature, they are all defending corruption. But I have one question to ask. Just one question to ask. My question is that the Delhi Congress, I don't know, Supriya must not have been briefed, or she still thinks she can run editorials of channels. Please tell her Delhi Congress has welcomed the investigation on Satyendra Jain and demanded resignation. But I'm glad that the National Congress wants to have a nikah with the Aam Aadmi Party and therefore is coming and defending their corruption.
Before Supriya comes in, Rizwan Merchant, Supriya, just one moment, because I have to bring in Rizwan Merchant. I'll bring in Rizwan Merchant.
Making a silly argument.
I'll bring in Rizwan Merchant. Mr. Merchant, really appreciate your time and thanks for your patience. You heard various sides. I want to understand this purely from the legal point of view. When you look at the series of investigation that is being done by either the ED particularly, because the Enforcement Directorate has the lowest conviction rate, although the CBI investigation has seen the final conclusion. What do you see in these investigations? Do you see a pattern, as the opposition says, is vendetta, or do you see this as law taking its course, particularly in this case of excise policy?
See, Maria, the law is very clear. The statute that we follow out here is that the moment there is an offence, there is an information which is revealing the commission of a cognizable offence, we have no choice but to register an offence and embark upon investigation. Supreme Court is very clear, you cannot conduct investigation unless until you don't have an FIR in place. So merely having a registration of an FIR is not something that should excite people and cause them to raise any grievances with regard to vendetta, etc., etc. As far as investigation is concerned, it is the prerogative of the Central Bureau of Investigation or maybe Enforcement Directorate, but immediately after arrest, if the accused is produced before the court, he gets the first available opportunity to rebut his case, he puts across the case, the court takes into consideration the remand application, and if a remand is granted, that means the justification of arrest has been endorsed and sanctioned by the court. The grant of police custody is the prerogative of the court. Custodial interrogation is an issue which is required to be decided by the court and not the department. The department has got a right to ask for custodial interrogation. You can oppose it, you can protest it, but the moment the court considers, after taking into consideration the case diary, which is required to be produced before the court and seeking justification of the material for custodial interrogation, it is the court's prerogative to allow it or disallow it. If it is allowed, you can't raise any grievances. You should cooperate with the investigation. If raids are being conducted, the raids are conducted not to belittle you, but to collect investigation material on the basis of which the final report is required to be put in. Now, as far as ED is concerned, you say that the rate of conviction of ED is very little. That is something which is rated back to when the investigations were being done by ED under Foreign Exchange Regulation Act. We yet have to undergo a lot of trials under Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Now, the moment a predicate offence is detected, the latest judgment of His Lordship Justice Khanwilkar, the moment a predicate offence is detected, that predicate offence is now considered as a scheduled offence under PMLA. And if the scheduled offence is committed, proceed of crime is generated, proceed of crime is identified and located, investigations under PMLA become a must. Under Section 54 of the PMLA, investigation into a scheduled offence, investigation into proceed of crime and money laundering is a coordinate effort which is required to be made both by CBI or police and Enforcement Directorate.
Okay.
So there cannot be any grievances. If an information is revealed that cognizable offence is there, you don't investigate, then the Supreme Court hauls you. If you investigate, then it becomes vendetta. This is not right. You should give a free hand to the investigating authorities. You go and oppose the issue before the court. Rather than bringing it to media and making grievances before the media, you approach the court, take necessary recourse to law which is available. But you cannot stall the investigation if the information received discloses the commission of a cognizable offence.
Okay, and as per this excise policy, and I'm sure you would have gone through it, and the FIR that has come out in the public domain, what do you see? I mean, how serious are the charges, and are you of the opinion that the CBI has enough evidence against him?
You see, the reading of the FIR makes it very clear it is not the handy job of one person which is being investigated. I believe there is a charge of conspiracy also. And the Supreme Court in R.S. Sharma's case has made it very clear that investigation into conspiracy will be in respect of issues before the commission of offence, during the commission of offence, and after the commission of the offence. Now, if this policy was withdrawn, why was it withdrawn? What were the issues behind the withdrawal of this policy? This would come within the framework of investigation, which becomes the right of the investigating officer. And if the investigating officer fails to investigate, he'll become answerable in the final report when it comes up for cognizance before the competent court.
All right.
So you have no choice. You have to investigate before, during and after. It has got a very wide scope of investigation which the Supreme Court has carved out in the case of R.S. Sharma.
All right. Mr. Merchant, really appreciate that, for you to put this in context. Let me go back to the political guests on the panel. Jasmine Shah, you particularly heard from what your other parties in opposition have to say. What Supriya said. You never stand with other parties when they raise questions of misuse of agencies. And now when you are facing the heat, you are leveling the charge. Why should you expect support from them? And those are the visuals coming in from Mr. Manish Sisodia's residence, where the CBI is finally perhaps leaving his residence after more than 12 hours of the raid. Please go ahead, Jasmine Shah.
Maria, we have repeatedly said that the way the CBI and ED are reading opposition parties and leaders one by one, it is very clear, not just to me and you, even a fourth grade kid can say that today this is nothing but vendetta politics. But sorry, we are not asking for Congress's sympathy. And, you look at their reaction to when Satyendra Jain was arrested. You look at their reaction today. They are repeating the kind of mantra that BJP is saying. So we are not asking, or we are not looking forward to any sympathy. We will cooperate with the justice system, and we know that just like the 150 cases earlier, we will be declared innocent by the courts of law, and that is the biggest stamp we want. But the larger point today, Maria, and this is the point I want to make, is that why are these raids happening now? Why was Satyendra Jain raided just a couple of months back? Why is Manish Sisodia being raided? Because of the growing curve of Aam Aadmi Party. Today, BJP has announced that the race of 2024 is only between Mr. Modi and Mr. Kejriwal. If there is one person that threatens the BJP juggernaut today across the India, it's not just about...
When did BJP announce that?
It's Gujarat, it's Himachal, it's Madhya Pradesh.
Shehzad, when has the BJP announced that?
Seeing that the only party that can work for the people, can give them real basic services rather than put money in the pockets of the rich.
You called my name and my name is Shehzad.
Party, that is the
There's
reason
only
they are
one Shehzad. Can I please answer?
Shehzad Poonawalla, when has the BJP raised it?
Let me educate Jasmine, who didn't know that cognizance has been taken against Satyendra Jain and there are 3 court orders against him. Let me educate him. The only competition Kejriwal is challenging is Nota. He got less than 1% vote in the national elections. And in Uttar Pradesh, you lost deposit on 99% seats. In Uttarakhand, you lost deposit on 98% seats. You're a deposit job. Now, please don't interrupt, Maria. May I have the full right to respond? Thank you very much. Maria, also about this, this diatribe about vendetta, I'm very grateful that Rizwan Merchant put things in perspective. Let's assume that we are the most vindictive government ever in the history of mankind. Right? No court has said cage parrot for us or for any agency under us. But pray, tell me, Sanjay Raut still in jail. Court has remanded him. Nawab Malik still in jail. Court has remanded him. Court said he has links with Dawood Ibrahim. They defend him. Anil Deshmukh still in jail. Then we have in Delhi Satyendra Jain, Kattar Imandar, according to Mr. Kejriwal, still in jail 2.5 months. If he's so Imandar, how come he's not got relief? Please tell me how come he's not got relief.
Jasmine, will you respond to that?
No, absolutely. You tell me, you have raided 150, you put 150 cases against our leaders over the last 7 years. Some of them have been thrown out by the courts in 1 year, some 1 month, some it takes 2 years. We know that the justice in India, the system runs slow, but it works for sure.
Kejriwal ko pata.
Don't start gleeing. Please don't start
Kejriwal
gleeing.
knows he's Kattar Imandar, but judge doesn't know.
Shehzad, you wanted him to listen to you. Now you please listen to his statement. Yes.
Let me make my point, please. I'm saying just because today you have complete dictatorial control over these agencies, you can stop them from investigating the fact that Bundelkhand Expressway, thousands of crores spent, caved in just a day after Prime Minister Modi inaugurated it. 10,000 crore is the scale of the liquor trade, illegal liquor trade that happens in Gujarat, which is a prohibition state. Anytime have you asked for CBI or ED to raid? No, you only unleash them on Arvind Kejriwal, you only unleash them on Aam Aadmi Party. But not in one of these cases. Aam Aadmi Party was not born yesterday. In 7 years, हमने 150 cases झेले हैं आपके. हम झेलेंगे, लेकिन हम रुकेंगे नहीं. अरविंद केजरीवाल रुकेगा नहीं.
Yes, उन्होंने ऐलान कर दिया है शहजाद पूनावाला that they are taking you head on.
मारिया जी, ये तो ऐलान 2014 और 19 में भी किया है, इससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. आई एम गोइंग टू रिजवान मर्चेंट्स पॉइंट अगेन. लेट्स अज्यूम वी हैव डन वेंडेटा अगेंस्ट ऑल दीज पीपल, टीएमसी, कांग्रेस एंड आम आदमी पार्टी. हियर इज कोर्ट सेइंग दैट prima facie there is evidence against Satinder Jain. Take cognizance. I can read out the court order for you. I have the court order of 28 July. It was broken by CNN News 18. ये court order है, पढ़कर सुनाऊं क्या? एक बार सुन लीजिए एक लाइन. Looking to the material on record.
No, I am aware of that order. I am aware of that order, Shehzad. I am aware of that.
मुझे बताइए मारिया जी, हम तो विंडिक्टिव है, कोर्ट तो नहीं है ना.
चलिए.
सतिंदर जैन कट्टर
लेकिन
ईमानदार कैसे
अगर यही आर्गुमेंट, then in that case
लोग क्यों मर रहे हैं?
Yes. Okay, Supriya. Then going by the same logic, even in case of Maharashtra, all action, be Sanjay Rawat and others, have been taken by the court.
Exactly.
Supriya.
Exactly. I'm saying
okay,
that.
Supriya.
There was a man. There was a man who was. My name is Supriya. Just thought will remind. There was a man who was.
There is only one Supriya. There can't be another.
The BJP opposed, leveled allegations. That's true. Remember that always. Good, you have that realization.
Okay.
Remember that.
Shehzad.
There was a minister in the Uddhav Thackeray government. If I start telling what you were doing when I am in the media, यहाँ पर बैठने लायक नहीं रहोगे. There was a minister.
Please go ahead, Supriya. Please go ahead. Go ahead.
What kind of language is this? What is shut the hell up?
There was a man who was a minister.
What is this language?
Which means you shut up. Which means you shut up now. That's the language.
The language she uses.
Keep quiet, Maria. Why is he wasting my time? Can you ask him to shut up now?
Okay, Shehzad and Supriya, please let's bring the focus back on the discussion. And let's be careful with our language. Please go ahead, Supriya.
Yes. Wrestling
Supriya,
with the
please go ahead. No, Supriya, please go ahead. Supriya, please go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
The only one using
there was
a
minister
in
in the Uddhav Thackeray government. In the Uddhav Thackeray government, there was a minister. The BJP objected. Mr. Thackeray actually sacked him. Now that same minister has been reinstated and Mr. Fadnavis is clapping for him. ये इनकी hypocrisy है. ये हेमंत और विश्व शर्मा जब वो बाहर होते हैं बीजेपी से, उनके खिलाफ एक्शन करते हैं. ये येदियुरप्पा के खिलाफ एक्शन करते हैं, लेकिन जब येदियुरप्पा जी को भैया वोट चाहिए होते हैं तो पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड में डालते हैं. नारायण राणे के खिलाफ ईडी है, नारायण राणे इनको ज्वाइन कर लेते हैं, धुल जाते हैं, गंगा से धुल के आ जाते हैं. मुकुल रॉय जब तक बाहर है, एक्शन है, इनके पास आ गए, एक्शन बंद हो गया, वापस चले गए, एक्शन शुरू हो गया. शुभेंदु अधिकारी सबसे भ्रष्ट थे, जब इनके पास आ गए तो दूध से धुलकर सर्फ से नहाकर आ गए. My limited point is, if this is not vendetta, then what is? You have been in government for 8 years, and I will say this because they keep talking about the courts. In the ED case against my leadership, why on earth is the Enforcement Directorate not moving court? We'll see in your court. You have not filed an FIR, you have not moved court, and you want us to go to court. Yes, we have taken action on a private complaint. Where on earth is the Enforcement Directorate? The ED actually closed that matter. Why did they open this matter again in 2016? I want to ask these questions. If this is not vendetta, what is?
Okay, Supriya and all the guests, just hold on to your thoughts. I'm going to go to Ground Zero, Mr. Sisodia's residence, for a quick update from my reporter Yash, who's joining me. Yash, what exactly is happening? Have the CBI teams left his home? Yash, if you can hear me. Okay, Nikhil, if you can hear me. What, has the teams left his home?
Yes, Maria. So, Maria, as per the details, the CBI raids have come to an end after close to 14.5 hours. So, at about 8 a.m. this morning, the teams of the CBI, they reached at the residence of Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia at AB 70 Mathura Road in the National Capital Delhi. And these are the visuals you are seeing from outside the residence of Manish Sisodia. So, a while back, 4 cars full of CBI officials, they have just left the residence of Sisodia. As we have mentioned earlier as well, that they were here since this morning. We have seen the FIR copy as well, which has mentioned Manish Sisodia, Deputy Chief Minister, as the accused number 1. And there are other accused as well, which have been named in the FIR. And many of the seizures have been, done from this particular residence. This is his official residence, which is nearby ITO. So we can say that the CBI raids have come to an end after 14.5 hours. So these are the visuals you are seeing on your TV screen. That's how the media persons can be seen here.
Yes,
a while back,
massive
as we
media
mentioned
presence.
earlier as well, Maria, that 4 of the teams full of.
Thank you so much, Nikhil, for joining us. So, Nikhil reporting from outside Manish Sisodia's residence. After over 14 hours, finally the CBI teams have left his home, and now the entire investigation will be proceeding in the way purely based on the FIR, which names Mr. Manish Sisodia as accused number 1. What is the stand of the Trinamool Congress as far as this is concerned, Sushmita? Because TMC stood firmly with the Gandhis. What about Mr. Manish Sisodia?
See, it's very simple. What the Trinamool Congress is saying, that if you're serious about corruption, if you want to investigate a Sisodia, if you want to call Mrs. Gandhi and Rahulji to the ED, and you want to go about after people, accused, then you should treat everyone with parity. You see, whatever Mr. Merchant has said is all about procedure. We all know what the procedure is. But the question is that when you have prima facie evidence against leaders of the own Bharatiya Janata Party or leaders who joined the Bharatiya Janata Party, why do you ignore those? And this fellow keeps saying, go to court, go to court. You are behaving doodh ka dula. Why should anybody go to court? If you actually have conviction behind going after people for corruption, why should anybody have to go to court? You have enough evidence, go after these people. It can't be that heads is also mine and tails is also mine. Please go right ahead. There is your own party's literature accused Hemanta Biswa Sharma of doing a
this
scandal
charge
which
coming
Sonowal,
not for the
which
first
Mr.
time.
Sonowal distributed in Parliament. Today he is your chief minister, so
May
you're
I
quiet.
come in, Maria? May I come in?
What is
I
this
mean,
washing
don't have
machine that the
double
BJP is
standards.
running?
That's what we are saying.
Maria,
I mean, this
may
is
I
a
come-
washing machine. Apna
Maria,
ghusao
if
aur
people
jao.
have stopped palpitating, may I come in? Thank you. So, Maria, this is not the editorial line of some have-been journalists on this panel that because a raid is done on some leader after court order, to just balance it out, we must go and raid some BJP leader even if he's not done
No,
corruption.
not balance.
1 second, Maria.
Y'all
now
are
can I have this
outrightly
lady not
biased.
interrupt
That's
my
what
time?
I'm saying. You're
Maria, can I have
outrightly
this lady?
biased.
Can I have this distinguished lady not interrupt my time? Thank you very much. You can palpitate at your own will and your own time. Don't
I'm
interrupt
not
me.
palpitating at all. I'm leading my
Please,
debate.
Maria, I
Don't
don't
you
want to
dare
engage in
comment
this.
on
I don't
my
want to
style
engage
of
in this
debating.
two-window cockfight. I will keep my point and then she can palpitate as much as she likes. Thank you very much. There were 8 CBI probes that were ordered after a matter went into the SSC scam, which your government tried to block. And the Calcutta High Court ordered it. In fact, you went and tried to threaten the judge who actually was giving these orders. So don't sit here on the moral high ground.
No
and
one
try
threatens
and
the judge.
Please, Maria,
No one
can I
was threatening
please
the
have
judge. Do
a
not lie to
situation
the
where
viewers.
this lady
Do
does
not lie
interrupt
to the
me?
viewers.
All that I ask is for my
Okay,
time
do
when
not
I
lie
can
to the
speak.
viewers.
This is not a show of Parivarwad where the Parivarwadis get an opportunity, but somebody who doesn't represent a family does not. Maria, may I please complete?
Listen,
Thank
you were
Maria,
licking
may
the
I
feet of
please?
Shehzad, the
for a
point here
post-Congress.
is that is being made
Today
by
you are
both
making-
Supriya
You are
Shinde
yourself an
and
example
Sushmita
of a washing machine.
is this
You are
washing
yourself
machine
an
charge.
example of a
Can you
BJP
please
washing machine.
respond in specifics?
I am
Narayan
responding
Rane,
specifics.
Hemanta
If
Biswa
Maria, you
Sharma,
allow
these
me
two
to
names have
complete
been
my
taken.
statement.
Hemanta
Yes.
Biswa Sharma.
Can she
Subhendu
stop
Adhikari.
talking and
Distributing a
yelling?
brochure
Yes.
in Central Hall.
Can I please
What have
answer?
you done about
Maria,
it?
you have
Okay.
to take
Subhendu
action.
Adhikari
Okay,
As
and
you
okay,
take
okay.
any other
taking
interrupter or
cash.
heckler.
What have you done about it?
Maria, I am waiting for your opportunity so I can make my point.
Okay.
She is heckling non-stop.
Okay.
Thank you.
अब रो देगा,
Maria,
दे दो
let's
उसको
see.
opportunity, रोएगा नहीं
अब
तो
रोने लगा।
रोने
Now,
लगेगा,
there's an
opportunity दे दो
orchestra
भाई,
of
दे दो,
commotion.
रोएगा नहीं
खुद
तो
जब
And
कांग्रेस
corruption.
ऑफिस
रोएगा
के
भी।
बाहर घूमता था
Orchestra
नौकरी
of
के लिए,
commotion
तब
and
भी
corruption.
उसको याद है।
Maria, your PCR can take an opportunity to
Okay,
let me
okay,
speak.
okay, Shehzad, speak. Please
can
go ahead.
interrupt.
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead
बैठा
quickly.
रहता था,
हाँ.
तुझे याद है ये?
I
The
please
family
complete.
and
Maria.
parivar what he's talking
You are
about.
asking
Maria,
all these
he
guys
was
to
chasing
interrupt. You're
this
not letting me
parivar for a
complete.
post in
My-
the Congress.
We are watching.
नहीं
We are
मिला
watching
तो
the
BJP में
fairness.
चला गया।
And we are watching and we'll keep quiet if you can't allow us
Okay,
to speak.
Shehzad.
Thanks. By
This
the
is
way,
how the entire country
रो
feels.
मत,
They're
रो मत,
quiet.
दो भाई इसको chance
Okay,
दो,
Shehzad, go ahead quickly.
लगा,
Yes,
रोएगा,
yes,
यार,
yes.
रोएगा।
Democratic voices
दो
of
दो उसको
dissent.
बोलने दो, रोएगा
पूरे
अभी ये,
नेशन का मुंह बंद कर रखा है।
अभी रोने लगेगा,
Okay, Shehzad,
देखो
go
रोने
ahead.
ना लगे, देख लो
Supriya,
रोएगा तो
Supriya,
नहीं,
please
दे दो
now.
chance,
Please,
बोलने
please,
दो, बेचारे।
Supriya,
Maria,
please.
you know,
Yes, yes.
Maria, now
बोलने
may
दो यार,
I,
मैं तो
if
कह
your
रही हूँ,
PCR
बोलने दो यार,
indulges me,
रोएगा।
Okay, Supriya, go
if
ahead.
your PCR indulges me,
अब पीसीआर पे भी पहुंच गया। टाइम्स नाउ ने ट्रेनिंग अच्छी करी है इसकी, वहीं पे बैठता था ना दिन भर, तो ट्रेनिंग अच्छी करी है। गुड।
तुम्हारी इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स की ट्रेनिंग अच्छी की थी क्या?
Okay, no, please, no personal attacks here. Shehzad, go ahead. Shehzad.
बात बोलो, रो मत।
None of that is allowed. Absolutely, I agree. I agree, Sushmita. That should not have been used. That should no. That is problematic. I'm saying he should not have. No, that's not allowed. That's not allowed. He should not have. Shehzad, that should not have been said. Yes, Shehzad, that should not have been said. Shehzad, you should not have said that either. Yes, please go ahead, Shehzad. Make your point without making any personal attacks. Yes.
They made all the personal attacks against me.
No, please go ahead, Shehzad.
Anyways.
Go ahead.
Maria, first of all, let's assume that our government, despite all the tons of evidence against Himanta Biswa Sarma, Yediyurappa is not acting. What is the way to go forward? A private criminal complaint can be filed with the best lawyers like Chidambaram, Singhvi and others. They can even go to court.
सरकार में तुम बैठे हो, कंप्लेंट हम क्यों फाइल करेंगे भाई? इनसे पूछो, ये झुंझुना बजाने के लिए सरकार में है क्या? सरकार में तुम बैठे हो और हम जाकर कंप्लेंट फाइल करेंगे, तो आप क्या प्रचार के लिए, टेलीप्रॉम्प्टर के लिए आए हो?
Maria, this is not right.
Is this your zero
सिली सोल है ये, सिली सोल है।
Not right. This is
सिली
not
सोल है
right.
ये।
Not right.
सरकार में ये बैठेंगे और प्राइवेट कंप्लेन हम जाकर करें। सरकार में ये बैठेंगे और प्राइवेट कंप्लेन हम जाकर करें। What a silly soul this man is.
Maria, what is
Such a
this?
silly soul this man is. सरकार में ये बैठेंगे और कंप्लेन हम जाकर करेंगे। What standard of governance is this? Hats off. Don't cry. रोना मत शुरू कर देना अभी. Don't cry.
30 seconds of point.
Unfair attack on me. And you have been very fair to all of us so far. Now you being paid back in the same penny, it becomes unfair.
In the interest of fairness, you should not be allowing this.
You should go to court और ये सरकार चलाएंगे.
They will
do nothing.
Investigate people just because
ED,
they are the
CBI.
BJP. They don't need court orders to investigate any
This
other
is
party.
absolutely unfair what you're doing. You have allowed them to hijack my time. You have not given me an opportunity to speak, Maria.
Shehzad, now you have time to speak. Please go ahead and speak. They have made their point. Okay. Shehzad, 30 seconds to you because I'll give the final words to Jasmine. Please go ahead, Shehzad, quickly.
Will you assure me that they won't interrupt me?
Go ahead, Shehzad.
They have interrupted me
Will
for the
you
last
assure
5
Don't
minutes.
cry.
Nothing.
Don't cry.
You will not make disrespectful statements.
Don't cry. He laughed when I was talking about rapists. That's who he really is.
He's
That's
so
his
rude.
real face. That's his real
Okay,
character.
Shehzad, now please. Yes, go ahead. Chalo.
तमीज नहीं है.
Obnoxious troll.
Sushmita and Supriya, please. Yes, we have Shehzad on the screen. Go ahead, Shehzad.
Maria, the people have watched what has happened on your show for the last 5 minutes, but I don't want to get into that because the people will decide. But let me make my point very quickly because you did not defend me when they were interrupting and heckling my time. Let's assume we are the most corrupt government and we are taking no action against the likes of Himanta Biswa Sarma and Yediyurappa. The way to go forward, like there was in 2012, is to go and file a private criminal complaint and get action done from the agencies. And also, by the way, go and get the agencies to be marked as vindictive or as a cage parrot, as was done during the UPA tenure. In 8 years, Chidambaram and company couldn't do that. In fact, when they went to challenge the PMLA case, they got thrown out. Now, let me complete, Maria. And by the way, why don't you inform the has-been journalists that there's no FIR in ED matters? It's an ECIR. And an ECIR is the beginning of an investigation. In this particular national health matter, there is already a cognizant stage because the court has already taken cognizance of the matter and directed a criminal complaint on the basis of which that's a predicate offense. If there was no basis of an ECIR or there was no basis, they would have gone long back when Oscar Fernandez and others were being called and they would have got this matter quashed. They have not got any relief.
Jasmine?
And finally, in the last 8 years, these people have got no court case saying that court orders saying that we have been acting vindictively, yet they come night after night, scream on your show, take the moral high ground and defend the likes of those against whom there is a court order. There's a court order against Satyendra Jain, there's a court order against Sonia Gandhi, there's a court order against Partha Chatterjee. They come here and defend, they use the vilest language and they get the privilege to say all this in your Saurakshan, Maria. I must put this on.
Well, just as you said a lot of things,
I said it when they started interrupting me,
You
Maria.
were laughing when I said it. So you should be the last person complaining there. And Maria, I have a
Just because you're
complaint.
from
They
the
interrupted
Modi
me
brigade,
non-stop.
don't think
Okay,
you can
People
get
have
Jasmine,
any rude
I do not
language.
need
Jasmine,
lecture
the
or
point here
certificates
is-
from Supriya
Lectures?
Sinha or from these people.
Jasmine, the point here is now that Mr. Manish Sisodia has been named as accused number 1, you have ensured that Mr. Satyendra Jain continues even as minister, though he's behind bars. The party is continuing to back him. What about this case? Don't you think his position has become untenable? Will he continue in the government?
Maria, every time I hear to Shehzad, my IQ, and I'm sure the IQ of you viewers drops down by a few points, because there's absolutely no rational, just utter nonsense that comes out every time he speaks. In this case, and I said this again and again, that just because you have sent your ED and CBI to raid somebody, that doesn't mean that they are guilty. Let the courts of the country decide that. And just because you wish to stop Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, you want to stop his health and education model. That is the only reason you have chosen the health minister first of Delhi, Satyendra Jain, and now the education minister, which, thanks to the New York Times report today, is the entire nation is proud of as the finest education minister in our country. But no, you cannot stand India going forward. You cannot see the Aam Aadmi Party rise and challenge Mr. Modi. And that is why you resort to all of these things. Not a problem. We welcome all kinds of investigation. And, we will stand by both Mr. Jain and both Mr. Sisodia, just how we have stood by all our leaders, one against whom 150 cases by the BJP has been initiated in the last 7 years. Not one conviction has resulted out of that. You have no answer to that point. And that shows the reality of how you've been abusing CBI and ED under BJP.
Okay, Rizwan Merchant, I'll give you the final words as a non-politician on the show here. You heard all the sides. I'm going to ask the same question. The charge coming from the opposition is that this is vendetta. BJP says that this is essentially courts which are directing the investigations in all of these cases.
Maria, look, every accused has a right to put forth his case. If they feel it is vendetta, it is their right to put up that case. But when you put up a case, you need a little bit of justification. Now, if the search in Mr. Sisodia's place has taken place for 14 and a half hours, certain documents must have been recovered from his possession. Now, being in possession, now it's his duty to explain those documents. If those documents stand explained, there is no case made out, he'll be out. But if in case CBI is able to make out some sort of a document showing some transaction, something related to the policy, then custodial interrogation becomes a must. And if the court says that yes, custodial interrogation is a must, you can't label it as vendetta. Because you have a judicial order which says that custodial interrogation is a must. Vendetta is something which is going to come and go. Every accused has got a right of putting forth their defense. And CBI happens to be one of the premier investigating agencies. In the past, they have given us results in several investigation cases. Just because they fail in one case, that does not mean that you start labeling them with distrust. This is something which is highly questionable. And as far as where Shehzad stopped, let me continue only for a few seconds. The private complaint that Shehzad was talking of can be in the form of an application before a competent court, even if it is a special court, asking for investigation under 156(3). And if an order under 156(3) is issued, the Supreme Court says you cannot go ahead with investigation unless and until an FIR is not registered. So why has no FIR been registered in case there are grievances, that complaints have been made against some people and no action has been taken? Go to private courts. Go to special courts, take an order under 156(3), you will get an FIR.
Okay.
It has happened in the past, it can happen again.
All right.
Why was it not done till today?
All right, Rizwan Merchant.
And why is it being urged in the media? Go to courts.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Maria.
Sushmita Dev, Jasmine Shah, Shehzad Poonawala and Supriya Srinate. That's all from me. We are slipping into a short break. There's a short update coming in from the entire celebrations that are happening with regards to Dahi Handi.